All right, we are at the top of week 5, meaning that we've just finished week 4. Actually, we'll finish week 4 tomorrow. I'm a day early because I know I want to make some changes and I know I want to make them today instead of tomorrow. So let's just do this a day early. To give you a full update first, let's go to the main page. So this was the original, this is including the original ad set. So if you remember in the beginning, I had 2 ad sets. So this is the total for the whole campaign. So 121 spent and 250 in sales. Again, I'm going to make note of this because it's important. This is gross sales. This is not net profit, but I have those numbers as well. So I'm going to get there in a second. So if we open up the overall campaign, we'll see that I had 2 ad sets. I turned the first one off. That was the one where everything was broad. All the keywords were broad. And now I'm only working with this one, which is directing readers to the paperback. Of course, they can purchase any version they want. But at this point, here are my stats. So 9101 spent, 216 in sales. My A costs, my advertising cost of spend, you can see is 4207, 142 clicks, and I've got 17 orders. I actually have 22 orders, or I should say I'm counting 22 orders, and I explained why in the first video. Basically, I hadn't sold a book in several weeks before I ran this ad. And when I ran the ad, I sold 5 books before it even reported as orders. So some of those may have been from clicks and then they came back in under a different username. Who knows? But I'm counting them because, again, I hadn't had any orders in weeks. But even if we just use 17, I'm still profiting. And my cost per click is going down. So the last I'd say about 10 days ago, it was at 66. Now it's at 64. I'd like it to be around like 35, but slow and steady wins the race. So to clarify the overall profit margin, and the way that you figure this out is you have to go in and identify in your reports tab whether the books that have sold are ebooks or paperbacks. And then you have to take the number of ebooks and multiply that times your ebook net royalty rate, or net profit margin. I guess it would just be profit margin. And then you take your paperbacks or your hardbacks if you're advertising those and do it again, or if you've sold those and do it against the same thing. So if I add up net earnings from my ebook sold and my paperback sold, it's $146.22. That's the profit margin, 146.22. So if we take yesterday, it was 87.22 spent here, and I had earned 146.22. So that's a 67% ROI according to Siri. Don't ask me to calculate that stuff on my own, but according to the actual mathematician, i.e. Siri, that's a 67% ROI. So that's still pretty good. I'm spending 87, I'm earning 146.22. So it's about a $50 return, meaning a $50 profit off of $87 spent. So the goal is to just keep scaling that up slowly. And I want to show you what I'm doing. So if I go into this ad, what I'm focusing on today is search terms, because again, I'm still training the algorithm to a degree to understand what not to show my book for. And there are a few negative keywords I had showed you last week or so, but there are a few more that I added this morning before I started recording this. So one is book on writing essays. It's only gotten 3 impressions and 1 click, but I still want Amazon to know that this is not a book about writing essays. Like, don't even show it when it's about that. So I made that a negative exact keywords. Book about writing poetry, same, negative exact keywords. Book on writing prompts, same. Like, that's not what this book is. Book on writing short stories, that's not what this book is. Business writing book, I decided last time to keep, and I explained why. How to write a book about my life, that would be something I want to add as an exact and as a phrase keyword, but I don't want it to be $1.08 as a bid. So I'm going to change that down to, let's just do 50 cents and see what happens. Again, so much of this, there's no what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. It's what are you comfortable with, and then you play with it. How to write a book about your family. It had 1 impression, 1 click, no order, but it would make sense. So I'm going to add that in as an exact and as a phrase. A 41 is fine for me, 41 cents. How to write a book, how to write a book for beginners, how to write a book free. I don't want that in as an exact because it's not a free book. How to write a book journal. This isn't really it's not a journal. So we're going to add that in as a negative exact. Okay. So these are at this point, right? It's much smaller tweaks because I already went in to look at targeting just to see what people are searching. And I did my regular thing of seeing where the orders coming from. So what keywords are the orders coming from to make sure that, I've got them. So we've got 3 on books on writing. That doesn't mean that they searched exactly books on writing. It means that this keyword is what allowed their actual search term to pop up or to trigger an impression. So we're going to keep those. We're going to keep those. There wasn't anything crazy that I hadn't thought of. And then if I go to clicks, that's kind of where I want to see, okay, where am I spending money that I don't need to spend money? So I have 27 clicks in books on writing with only 3 orders. It's not the best margin in the world, but it makes sense because books on writing, you'd assume that maybe 3 people are looking to write the kind of book that my book addresses. But I don't want to turn this off because I want to keep seeing what this is sort of triggering while I'm honing. We're just going to keep honing. I've only spent $13.24 on this keyword. So I'm not going broke off of any of these keywords yet. And none of them is so outlandish. I did turn off writing a book. I kept books on writing, but turned off writing a book because this one will cover all of the different search terms that people are using. So I'm just making it a little bit more narrow, but I can scroll down and just make absolutely sure, you can make this a little wider if you need to, that now I'm not even to any large number of clicks, but just to make sure that it's not even showing impressions for things that are just wildly inaccurate. So I have this turned on, how to write a book in 30 days as a negative exact keyword because it's not about how to write a book in 30 days. But the rest of these aren't even getting much traction. And I want them to, some of them I want to get traction. Like I'd like to get memoir writing books more impressions, which is why I have it as a new, an exact keyword. But these were just my original keywords and I'm just seeing how well they're performing. So we're going to get to a point where we search over or where we switch over to where I'm looking far more at what people are actually searching that's triggering a purchase. And then if I have to add or if I choose to add another big wide keyword over here, kind of as a big net to see what it grabs, I can. I don't know how I'd get wider than books on writing, write the book, or how to write a book. I'm not. And I have them as phrases as well. So I'm not sure how to get more clear about that than to go broad. And I don't want to go broad because we already saw what happened with that. So that's where we are. And we are now just continuing on as we do.